Hello everyone, it's Foo here, and I'm very excited to bring you a video talking about some of the new Pokemon Sword and Shield move that we received last week in the form of a direct and some more information on the website as well, and a particularly awesome Pokemon that has found a very special place in my heart already. But here with me, just as excited as I am, is my good friend John, aka Pokemon. Say hi, John.
Hey everyone, it's good to be back making videos like this with Sam. We found out about a few new Pokemon. Sam really loves Eldegoss, and over on my channel, we're going to be talking about my favorite Pokemon that we found out about. Dreadnought looks incredible, but enough on that. You'll see it in my video. Eldegoss is the subject for the day.
Yes, that is right. I mean, all the Pokemon that were announced, I think, look amazing. I'm really excited for the prospect of this new Dex because the designs have blown me away, but none more so than this cute little fluffy Eldegoss. I already fallen in love with it for so many reasons, which we will get into today. Before we go into this, if you enjoy this video, please consider leaving a like because it really lets me know what you guys want to see more of, and at the same time it does help my channel out, but no problem if you don't want to. So Eldegoss, first off we're going to be talking about what we know about this Pokemon, and then we'll go into more about what we hope about the Pokemon. We'll make some guesses there, but first off, what do we know? And we know all about the design. We've seen it in the game and I love it. It's the perfect mix of cool but kind of goofy. That's totally my aesthetic. I love it. It's with the big floofball head and the cute pixie face. It's just fantastic. It kind of looks like a little old grandma with a massive white spherical hair. It's right up my street. I don't know how they managed to like go into my head and see this, but it just is so perfect for me. What do you think, John?
I actually really like Eldegoss's design. It really stands out. It's very, very unique, and that's actually probably my favorite thing about it. You know, it's kind of a mix between, it looks goofy, like from behind with the big cotton ball afro hairdo going on. Like it's just, I don't know, it catches me off guard. I'm not expecting that, but from the front, it actually looks somewhat intimidating. Looks like it's a Pokemon I do not want to mess with. A really, really fun combination, and I'm very excited to see how good it is to go along with its really cool design.
We also know that Eldegoss evolves from Gossifleur, which, in my opinion, it's another beautiful design, and I think a lot of people were quite taken by Gossifleur. I heard a lot of people say that they actually prefer the color palette for Gossifleur, and while it is undeniably beautiful, I like the story of going from this beautiful young Gossifleur into an equally valid, older looking Eldegoss, which has got it's lost some of its beauty but has gained experience and probably some power there too. And I think we need more representation for our elders, and that's not just because I'm probably comparatively kind of old in this little old YouTube game, but I really like it for that reason. Now what we don't know is if this is a final evolution or whether it evolves again. I mean, I think from the way it was revealed, we probably aren't getting another evolution of Eldegoss, but who knows? I think for now we're treating this as a final evolution, but it could well evolve again.
Moving on to some of the flavor text that we got on the website, we see its cotton fluff protects it from enemies, and seeds are said to promote growth in plants and can revitalize both people and Pokemon. And right away, that lets us know that this Pokemon is going to be somewhat defensive, and it's definitely going to be a nice, you know, healer of a Pokemon. We have to find out exactly how defensive this Pokemon is going to be. You know, there's a lot of hoping that all of these Pokemon are going to be really solid, but I would say that the big emphasis with this Pokemon is going to be taking hits and then healing itself and healing other Pokemon in general.
We did find out its typing. Eldegoss is obviously a grass type, but it actually has no secondary typing, which can be pretty good considering how good comparable Pokemon like Tangrowth are defensively. I mean, monograss typing, it has some really important resistances like ground, like water is a really big one. However, having only one typing that receives same type attack bonus means it may not be as strong as it could have been offensively. Though with the flavor text, that might not matter too much because it does seem to be like more of a defensive Pokemon with healing capabilities, so it probably isn't designed to be too offensive anyway. So we'll have to see how that monograss typing works out for it.
We also found out about its abilities, one being Cotton Down, a brand new ability, potentially its signature ability, which would be really, really cool, and then another very good ability with Regenerator. Now, Cotton Down, what goes with this ability is when a Pokemon with this ability is hit by an attack, it will send out cotton fluff that will lower the speed stat of other Pokemon. This is a really, really cool thing. It does sound somewhat similar to Tingling Hair and Gooey, but considering the fact that it sounds similar to two other, Pokemon abilities, and this is a brand new ability, there's definitely going to be some sort of wrinkle, or at least I hope there's going to be some sort of wrinkle. And, the thing that we're hoping is that opposing Pokemon will not need to make contact to trigger this, and it will also potentially work with special type attacks. So just any sort of attack, Pokemon's going to go down some speed, which is super, super helpful competitively, even just in-game. That would be an awesome ability, which is really important because its other ability is a hard one to turn down.
Yes, that's right. Regenerator is proven to be an incredible ability. There are a number of Pokemon that already have this, and they act as great pivots in Pokemon battles. You can send them in, they can tank some hits, and you don't have to worry about clicking a healing move because you just switch out and passively they recover health. So it's so good and so tried and tested, and very good for a potentially defensive Pokemon like this. The only issue being that because we have other Pokemon that are tried and tested and very good with this ability, Eldegoss will have direct competition from the likes of Tangrowth and Amoonguss, which are great Pokemon in battles, and this thing will really have to find a niche if it wants to find a place on your team instead of those two very strong Pokemon. We also have one more tidbit of information. We know that at level 20, Eldegoss has 58 HP, which puts its base HP stat at around base 60. Now, that is not very high, especially considering this Pokemon is meant to be defensive. And also compared to the other bulky grass type Pokemon that I just talked about, Tangrowth and Amoonguss, they have much higher base HP stats. But that doesn't mean it's going to be frail. If you consider some of the bulkiest Pokemon in the entire game, things like Shuckle and Toxapex have low HP stats, but they just have very high defense stats, meaning that they can tank loads of hits. And that may well be the case with Eldegoss. But we don't know about that, so that remains to be seen. At the moment, all we know is it's got potentially low HP.
Now it's time to move away from the things that we know for sure with Eldegoss and move on to things that we hope happen with this Pokemon, and also, some things that would make sense. We're not just going to completely make stuff up. We're not going to say this thing is going to have those pseudo-legendary 600 base stat total stats, the best moves possible. We're going to try to go in with a level head, and starting with the stats, the 60 HP, something we did talk about, but the really important thing with this Pokemon is the defenses. We decided that 100 defense and 110 special defense would make a lot of sense, considering that it should be a bulky Pokemon from the flavor text and everything that we know about this thing. To go along with that not amazing HP stat, it would make sense that it had really, really good defense and special defense, just so it can tank any sort of hit, and if its ability is one where it will slow down both physical moves and special moves, it would make sense that both the defense and the special defense would be decently bulky. Most Pokemon like this do have a better special attack than attack, so that's why we have the 85 special attack and the 50 attack. 85 is a decent special attack, and I think that's perfect for this Pokemon. I don't think it's going to be a powerhouse in any way, shape, or form, but I don't think it's going to be super, super frail. I can definitely see seeing it deal out some decent special offensive moves. And the final thing, the 75 speed. I honestly wouldn't be shocked if this thing was a little bit faster, but we don't know, as Sam talked about, we don't know if this is going to be like a really early route Pokemon. It could be a little bit weaker than we want, could be something that could evolve again. So just to be a little bit on the safe side, the 75 speed, pretty average, not a bad thing at all, especially with a defensive Pokemon. I think this would be, pretty solid on it. I'd be happy to see it be a little bit faster. I really wouldn't be shocked with it. We will just have to see what happens there, but I do think there would be a pretty solid base stat total. We haven't gone really too crazy with any of these stats, and I would love to see a balanced, really solid defensive, stats with the 100, 110 or something like that.
Aside from the stats, what will likely make or break this Pokemon are the moves that it can learn. And in my opinion, the number one move that could be huge for this, and hence the title of the video, would be Spore. Now, there aren't really many non-mushroomy Pokemon that get this move yet, but because it is sending out its Cotton Down, and already know that it's sending out its seeds and things like that, I don't think the Spore is too far-fetched. Having that reliable sleep would be amazing, especially for a regenerator Pokemon. You can come in, tank some hits, threaten your Pokemon with sleep, and then switch out, get your health back. That would be such a game changer, especially if it's got a decent speed stat. There aren't too many Pokemon with Spore that aren't super slow, so that would be really nice to see. Regardless, if it doesn't get Spore, it likely will get Sleep Powder and probably Stun Spore too, giving it some really nice utility options. Both of those would really put pressure on your opponent to choose what Pokemon they want to get statused, so I quite like that. Also, Leech Seed would be very good for this Pokemon in terms of keeping it healthy, keeping chip damage on the opponent, but also because it has that low base HP stat, you'd be recovering a large portion of your health back. For Pokemon with Leech Seed, generally the best combination is high defensive stats and low HP stats, because you just recover so much with that Leech Seed. So that would be another good one. I think U-turn is very, very important as well, because it would mean that you'd easily be able to keep momentum against the opponent and get the most out of your regenerator ability, switching out as much as possible. In terms of offense, I don't think it will have a massive move pool. Things like Power Whip or Wood Hammer really don't seem very likely. I think Giga Drain is a good bet, and Energy Ball, maybe even Leaf Storm. In terms of other coverage moves, there's a potential for something like Pollen Puff, which would be kind of cool. That's Rabombi's signature move at the moment. That's a bug type move which deals damage, but if you target one of your own Pokemon, it heals. So I think that could be quite an interesting one. And speaking of healing, there are obviously some cleric moves that I think it would get. Some healing for itself, maybe Synthesis or Morning Sun, and also Aromatherapy or Heal Bell to heal status. But I think that it will also be healing the rest of your team too. Things like maybe Heal Pulse, but maybe Wish would be really good. Wish plus a Regenerator is a nice combination that we see on the likes of Alomomola and Ordino. They can throw up a Wish and passively recover themselves with Regenerator while they pass the Wish to something else. Obviously they have high HP stats, so wishes are a lot bigger, but even then, a smaller wish from this thing would be very gratefully appreciated by any of your other Pokemon, I'm sure, and will give you a bit more leeway in terms of switching. So I think that would be really cool to see. And the last one that I'd like to see is some kind of setup move. So maybe Calm Mind or maybe Nasty Plot, because that would set it apart a bit more from those Regenerator Pokemon that we've already talked about. Tangrowth and Amoonguss, they don't have those kind of moves, so it would just mean that you could maybe try to set up early game, and then once you've got some damage on the opponent, switch out, Regenerator up, and try again later in the game. Calm Mind especially, because you could build a defensive Eldegoss with Calm Mind. That would be really nice to see.
Putting all these things together, Eldegoss could be a pretty cool pivot Pokemon with utility and cleric options. I think this Pokemon is going to be pretty decent no matter what, has two really good abilities. I don't know if we even have a bad Regenerator Pokemon yet, or at least we don't have a bad Grass type Regenerator Pokemon. It's a really solid typing to go with an incredible ability. We know this thing should be a little bit defensive, but I do think there's a real chance that this Pokemon could be middling, as we do have other, Grass type Regenerator Pokemon. It has some stiff competition. There's a lot of things that Sam talked about with the moves, and that, as he said, is going to be make or break. If this thing gets Spore, you need to go along with U-turn. If it's a little bit faster, if it got setup options to go along with some of these other things, Wish would be incredible. There's a lot of little moves you could throw it onto this Pokemon to make it really good. And even if we just get one of those, it gives it another set to run. But I think we saw a nice variety of the things he talked about. We could see a variety of different sets that you can run on this thing. It would be very, very scary, very fun to use, and I am all in on hoping that Eldegoss is incredible.
So that's Eldegoss. I already love it. I think we've treated it very kindly in this video. Its stats may well not be as high as we have speculated, but even if they're not, I will love and adore it because it looks very soft and cuddly, and at the same time looks kind of mean and annoying, and I just love it. It's just definitely going to be on my team. It's going to be a star. I can't wait to get my hands on it. I want to know what you guys think, so let us know in the comment section below, and please give a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, but again, no problem if you don't. Definitely check out John's video on Dreadnought because that Pokemon is looking very promising and very strong. We've had a good discussion over on his channel about that, but that's going to be all for now. All that's left to be said is I've been Foo, you've been awesome, and hopefully see you next time. Goodbye.